Hey guys, I have something a little different for you today. It's an interview. When I did my website, I contracted with a gal to do it for me, and she did a really great job. And in getting to know her, I realized that she has a ministry of her own, and she is focused on equipping and encouraging women, mainly young women, to live godly lives and all that that encompasses. Her name is Grace Anyanwu, and her website is graceencourages.com. I'll put a link down in the description and also in the interview. Uh, Cindy and I were just really taken by her and wanted to do whatever we could to help and support and encourage her. I thought interviewing her to showcase her and her ministry would be a great way to do that. She writes quite a few blogs. This interview is based on one of her recent blogs on submission, mainly submission of wife to husband, but we know we're all called to submit one to another under Christ. So I really enjoyed getting to know her better and doing the interview. So I hope you like it and hope you find it to be a blessing. It's a little longer than one of my normal videos. But I hope you'll stick with it. As I do more interviews, I'll get them down into my normal range of between 7 to 12 minutes. So anyway, I hope you find it a blessing. Leave comments below, encouraging me, encouraging Grace. And here it is right now. So Grace Anyanwu, thank you for joining me. I sure appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this, and
Yes, me
I
too.
think you have too. So
Yes, I
um,
have.
we met doing my website. You did a great job on getting my website up, and then
Thank you.
Cindy and I got to know you and your ministry, and we are just very taken by your ministry and your heart for women and
Amen.
speaking good stuff into their lives and kind of being a lone voice in a culture that promotes sexuality and that kind of stuff. And so we want to support you as best we can. I thought it was a good opportunity to collaborate.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity and thank you for inviting me. I really do appreciate it. And may the Lord bless your ministry as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, well, we have two conversations set up. We'll do one at a time, but this first one we're going to do is a blog you wrote. Both of them are based on blogs you wrote. This one is 5 ways to be submissive to your husband, and this is a this is a important topic, but one that's
Yes.
kind of misunderstood. So I guess if you could just before we get started, just kind of high level thoughts about the topic, what it is, what it isn't. So yeah, if you could just
Awesome.
start with that.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So, as Mr. Jeff said, yes, I just felt led to write an encouraging post about submission because that's a topic that a lot of young women and older women talk about. I remember when I was in college, we used to talk about submission and a lot. And wow, I wonder what it looks like, what it means to submit as a godly woman in this culture where women are constantly being we are constantly being fed different messages about what a woman is and what she should be and what she shouldn't be. And a lot of times the messages are, oh, submission is for women that are just doormats, or only foolish women submit, or oh, that's old school, that's how my mom, my grandmother did, that's how they were married. But now these days, oh, we don't do that. We can do anything we want to do, how we want to do it. And so that's what I think that mentality is what's destroying marriages today. And of course, it can be on both sides, men and women, but speaking from a woman's perspective, women have to be careful that when we do get into marriage, that we do have the mindset of submitting to our husbands. That's why it's important when you get married and you're looking for a spouse, pray that God guides you to the right person, because you want to be married to a man who does love the Lord and who can submit to the Lord and hear from the Lord. That way it makes it easier to submit. And Proverbs 14:1 says, a wise woman builds her home and a foolish one tears it down. So that also has to do with submitting. Maybe, for example, if you and your husband are trying to make a big decision, and, maybe you guys just have different ideas about how to tackle the problem. That's when, as a wife, you say, you know what, I trust you, my husband, that you are the head of this home. I trust that, okay, God will give you the wisdom. And sometimes you may not agree, or you may think, okay, I think this is a better option, but because you are a God-fearing woman and because you want to build your home, you just, let God handle it, and you let your husband lead in that area. And also, when we talk about submission, I also want to mention that a good husband and a loving husband and a man of God will also love and value his wife. He will also cherish his wife. So that's important. Submission is not stupidity, or, being a doormat, or anyone can just, walk all over you. You can still be a woman of strength and dignity. And, I believe that's mentioned in Proverbs 31. She was clothed in strength and dignity. So you can still be a strong woman, but still love and support your husband and submit to him as well.
Mhm. Great. Perfect open. Okay, your blog was 5 ways to be submissive to your husband. So let's kind of hit some of hit those five.
Yeah.
The first one is number one is to be his number one fan.
Yes, definitely.
Can you talk about you also mentioned the idea of helper, help me. Can you talk about being your husband's number one fan and what that looks like?
Yes. Well, I'm so grateful for my husband. I love him so much. He's a wonderful husband, but I guess from my example, he's a minister. So for me, that's always encouraging him when he's ministering. I'm always on social media, just commenting, praising him, encouraging him. Wow, I really love the word you preached. I learned this from the word. Whatever your husband may be into, could be sports, maybe he's starting a business, maybe he likes to cook. Just trying to support him in whatever he loves to do. And like you said, men do love respect. And I know when we encourage our husbands and we're a husband's number one fan, I mean, I just feel like it makes him feel like he can do anything. And when you are doing that for your husband, you'll see the change and the difference he will, can make in your marriage.
Mm,
And, it'll be much easier to submit because you have a happier husband, and
mhm.
it's just the way God designed it is just that's just how God is. He knows what he's doing. And we may have questions like why God did it this way or why did he do it this way? Well, that's for heaven. When we get to heaven, I guess we'll ask him, okay, God,
Exactly.
you explain? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you hit it on or hit on it earlier where you said God is a God of order.
Yes, he
And
is.
that's very
Definitely.
true. The second was make him feel important. And in that, you referenced the book, The Five Love Languages.
Mhm.
What are some of your thoughts about the five love languages and why is that helpful in supporting your husband?
Yeah, because every God made all of us unique. We have our unique gifts, our unique desires, and strengths and weaknesses. And so, because of that, every marriage dynamic is also unique. So, um, everyone wants to feel loved. I think that's part of the reason you get married, right? So, everybody wants to feel loved and feel appreciated, but there are different ways to show it. For me, mine is acts of service. And so my husband, always, since he knows that about me, and I know he has his quality time and also service. So I just try my best to show him different ways that I love him by acting it out and spending time with him. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, just to, I'm sure.
Our mutual, my wife and I mutual is a quality time. We spend a lot of time together, do
Oh,
a lot of things together, and mine's acts of service, and hers is giving gifts. I mean, it wasn't until I read that book that I realized, wow, that is, she is gifted in that, man.
hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's
Okay,
wonderful.
number three is something that's really I found fascinating, and that is number three. It says respect and honor him.
Like as I was saying earlier, every person is different and every marriage is different. But generally, women tend to be more emotional than men, generally speaking. But there are men that are very emotional, men and women that are not as emotional. Um, what you said is true, that men do love respect. I think that is probably for most men. I don't know if it's a love language, but it's just the way men are wired. Men love respect. And like you said, tone matters. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I try my best, when I'm dealing with my husband and men in general, to just, affirm them, and also mind how I say things, because maybe if I'm talking to my female friends, we're just, going on and talking, but I just want to be mindful, if I'm talking to my husband or a male, how I say things, because respect is very, very important.
Hmm.
And women, generally, we like to feel loved, valued, and cherished. And that's more very important to us. Of course, respect as well. I think it goes back to the way God wired men and women. We are different but equal. And I just think that's the bottom line. I'm sure there's some scientific reasons behind it, but I'm not a scientist. So
Yeah,
um, I think God just wired men and women differently, but we're equal under Him. And I think that has to do with it. But it's very true.
I
Men love
agree.
respect, and
I
women love
agree.
to be cherished, loved, and valued, generally speaking. Yeah.
Okay. Fourth point was practice gratitude for all your husband for all things that your husband does. I follow a Christian YouTuber, Eric Wooten. He has a ministry called Altered Marriage, which is great.
Oh,
He
yeah.
covered this in a topic recently, and he one of the things he says is see it, say it, don't let it wait. So if you see something that you appreciate, say it right then. Don't let it wait. What about practicing gratitude?
Oh, I really like that. I'm going to borrow that. See it, say it. Practicing gratitude means being grateful for the small things, because you know that it could be worse, or that your spouse doesn't have to do it. They're doing it out of love, and that's why you are grateful.
Mm,
But I really like what the man you talked about, the man you mentioned, said, see it, say it. Because sometimes, we do take things for granted. Maybe, every morning our spouse makes us breakfast, or cleans the house, or maybe makes our bed. And we take those little things for granted. But guess what? If they stop doing it, I'm sure you're going to notice. So it's always
yeah,
good to be grateful. And when you are grateful, it encourages the other spouse to continue doing it and to even do more. So I think that's so
absolutely.
important. And it's
Yeah,
just the
and it
little
works.
things that,
It works both ways.
yes, it
Yeah,
does.
it works both
It's,
ways. And finally, this may have you may have intended this to be number one. Pray for God to give you a heart of submission. Prayer is
yes.
always for talk more about prayer, both in general and in the relationship.
Well, definitely a family that prays together stays together. And I believe that, as Joshua 24:15 says, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And as I mentioned earlier, the enemy is fighting families. That is just because he knows once he gets to family, he has almost everything, because the family is the core of a society, the core of a nation, of a country, of the world. Um, so he's constantly fighting families. But prayer is so important, because when you pray, you're inviting the will of God to come into your home. You're communicating with God, who created your spouse. He created you. So when you pray to the creator of your spouse, he's the one that will give you all the answers you need. If you're going through an issue, if you're going through a rough patch or a problem, he's the one to seek out first. And again, there are marriage counselors, and you can confide in our church leaders. But definitely prayer to God is the number one solution, to any problem that you may have. Hmm.
Awesome. Amen. I agree.
And yeah.
Uh, Okay. Any final thoughts about submission? Wives submit to your husbands.
One thing I would say is, going back to Proverbs 14:1, a wise woman builds her home. And God said, if we James 1:5, if we ask for wisdom, he will give us. So sometimes, as women, we don't know what to do, or we don't know how to build our homes, but God can give us that wisdom. But I believe a wife builds her home. So if you want to build your home, that is also um, reading the word and understanding what the role of a wife is. And God says in his
Mm.
word, we should submit to our own husbands, um, and of course submit to each other, and that the husband will love the wife as Christ of the church, and women, submit. So that's the way God designed it. And if we want to build our home, if we want to be virtuous women of God, then that's what we have to do. So, and there's a beauty in submission. It's not like, oh God, it's wonderful. It's a great thing. There's a beauty in marriage and submission, and a couple working together to,
I think
yeah.
the beauty, when you said that, it hit me. This The beauty is when we do it under Christ. It
Yes,
just
yes,
it comes together in just such a beautiful way,
yes, it does. It does.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. You're right.
Well, awesome. Well, I would encourage everybody, Grace says, to learn, know the word, what it means to be submissive. I'm gonna
Amen.
put here's a link to her website, her blog. Subscribe, get on her mailing list, and that's a
Thank you.
great way. She has great content, and it's a great way to increase your understanding of what it means to be a biblical wife and other topics too, a biblical woman in general. Grace, thank you.
Amen. Thank you
We will
so
be
much.
back for another interview very soon.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And congratulations on your 40 years of marriage. I mean, that deserves a hand clap. That's awesome. Wow, that's so wonderful.
Thank you, thank you.
Wow.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for having me. And I enjoyed it. And I pray that it was a blessing to someone. And also check out Mr. Jeff's website and his ministry, and support his ministry as well.
Thank you. The great website that you made for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace.
All right. Thank
All right.
you. Be blessed.
All right.